Right, time back with Nigel Farage is a narcissist, so let's have a look at this. We all know that. Real reason, Rupert Lowe booted from Reform. Well, we all know that. UK exposed by Ben Habib. Okay, cool. Like this man. Isn't he starting a party, the Integrity Party or something? I think it's a pretty cringe and naff name, but I don't care because he's in it with Rupert Lowe and hopefully some decent, normal people with common sense. Might be a good idea. Yes, looking forward to that. Let's go, Ben, darling.
It was because he was doing so well for the party. Rupert is a team player. He is not someone who goes out and seeks his ego being massaged. But Nigel Farage's ego is extremely prickly, as it is with most narcissists. So the right.
I don't like the snobby, sneery way he has towards working class people. I don't like the ease with which he didn't care about an industrial scale. We're talking, you're only hearing dozens, maybe up to 100. But it's thousands upon thousands upon thousands, and not all of them have come forward. You know, there's so many. It was just so usual. It was part of the culture in these cities. So for generation after generation, you'll hear time and time again how they've groomed one girl, and then when they notice the girl's got a slightly younger sister, boom, it's on to the next one, and then on to the next one. And very often that's what kept the older girls linked in, because they thought, oh my God, you know, if they're doing it, they're not touching my little sister, you know. So it was going on generationally, street upon street upon street. It's just the full horror of what's been happening under the noses of everybody in this country for generations hasn't really been exposed. And I think the trick and the sleight of hand is that it will never be exposed. There you go. Come on, Ben.
On the wall for Rupert Lowe when he started doing so well, and Elon Musk,
right,
pointed out that he'd make a better leader than Nigel Farage would have reformed UK.
Does Britain need a real small c Conservative Party on the right? Despite an impressive performance in recent months by Robert Jenrick, a future Tory leader,
wasn't Musk going to give Farage 20 million to the Reform Party? And he was puffing out his chest, wasn't he, preening himself, and then sort of like a day later it came out that Musk said he didn't think Farage was the right person to lead the party. It's because of a number of things. He's not the man of the moment, if he ever was, if you get me. There you go. He was controlled opposition, sleight of hand, one thing and another, because for generation after generation, ever since we went into the common market, government after government was running on one of their talking points for saying they wanted to get into power, was say, oh, well, vote for us because we have a referendum as whether we leave the common market or we then more, you know, after decades, it was leave the European Union, leave, you know, the European courts and this, that and the other. And of course they kept sidelining it. So he was the man of like, follow me and we'll all leave, we'll have the Brexit party and all this old BS, yeah. He was one of them every day of the week, really. And even if he wasn't, he sure as hell wanted to be. And the minute he got the votes, like they all gave him in June last year, I didn't, proudly, and he's straight up, their feet under the table, doesn't care about the migrants coming in anymore, can't stand working class people, not interested in the grooming gas. Tommy Robinson could just sit and rot. And who is he representing now? Because he's sure as hell not representing the people that put him where he is. There you go, I've said it, and I don't care who knows it.
Just as he moves away from key policies like mass deportations, concerns about demography, and NHS reform. For me, the message that Nigel and Reform need to take on is to hell with the MSM.
Yeah.
To hell with the Westminster establishment.
Exactly.
To hell with the British deep state.
Yes.
They are never going to accept us, as the National Education Union today proves.
No, but what they'll do is they will do everything they possibly can to bring you down. Now, here's another little thing that's just occurred to me listening to Dan. Like Dan of all people, because we know he's had his problems in the past. It was supposed to have been mooted to do with his friendship with people high up in the speaking out about, you know, the MM person, say no more. But it may have been also sort of because he was anti-establishment and people like his around him could probably have seen where it was going, so he needed to be brought down. Now, I don't know, but could that be why Nigel was giving it all the Johnny Big B's and then got into power and just towed the line step right into line? is it cynical and spiteful of me to say, well, no, it's because he's got his expensives, he's making lots of money. Isn't he doing those shouting out for people's birthdays? And somebody said he's making like 20 grand a month just doing that. Can't think who it was. It was one of his ministers anyway, one of his people. So, and like he was saying, everyone takes 10 minutes if he's earning 20 grand a month doing these shout out blah blah blahs. Then he's using quite a lot of time doing that when he could have been an MP, which is what he's voted in for. So, is there something maybe they've got on him that he had no choice but to fall into line? But Dad didn't fall into line, so he just ruined him or tried to ruin him with that BS about, so I don't know what he was about, no one cares. Literally nobody cares. What it about some photographs or something? He left some snidey little snake in his flat. So boring, tacky. Anyway, yeah, most right-minded people can see through the BS when somebody's deliberately being smeared by tiny little small-minded people that are just nobody's. So there we go, come on, Dan.
But instead the reform approach appears to be to present itself as the new Tories.
Right.
A big tent party that sits on neither the left nor the right to appeal to the red wall.
Yeah.
So after their latest election broadcast
But that's never going to work.
Robert,
That is never going to work, because if the red wall, I mean, have you met any? Has Nigel actually met the sort of soy drinking yummy mummies? They wear paper clothes and, you know, and ride push bikes everywhere, and, you know, they, them. I could go on, I don't want to say too much, but the typical young, sort of left-leaning, because it's culturally, it's very fashionable to be like that. Not to be Starmer's version of Labour, but that version, a very free living, you know, go to Glastonbury, very conscious of the climate and your impact and your footprint, blah-de-bleeding blah. So if Nigel's actually appealing to them, he's literally on a hide into nowhere, literally a waste of time, and while he's doing it, he's actually eroding his grassroots, you know, people that put him there to start with, the anchor of his reform. I mean, I don't know how many people, but I see the conference the other day and it looked like an old people's home, not being funny. I did look to see if I'd wandered in there and fell asleep, because they're all full. I think they'd had a big lunch, so... Anyway,
posted, Nigel Farage confirms Reform are a centrist party going after the centre-left and centre-right vote.
Rob Boyd.
I think this is a smart play if you're going from a protest party to a party in government. What about you? That's what Rob asked. And look, I fully appreciate it.
Because if you're going like that to represent all the people, yeah, you actually end up, with his tactics, representing none of the people. So everything that came up that affects Britain, he should have had the backbone to speak up about. Grooming gangs, that was an issue. Chagos Islands, that was an issue. All sorts of things are an issue. Ukraine is an issue. Robinson is an issue. Speak about it. Don't just like, well, no, because they have to, don't they? As I say, I think he's took Starmer's shilling, if you get me. Do you remember that in the olden days? Yes, he used to take the king's shilling, or something like that. So now he's just got to fall into line, otherwise he'll get into trouble, he'll lose his expenses, he'll have the whip taken away from him. Mind you, that will upset him. He probably likes a bit of a whip, doesn't he? Do you get me? Capiche? That's probably it.
Maybe it's smart. Like, maybe there's polling that shows this is in some way smart.
Yeah, but the thing is, Dan, people pay for polls. Poll people don't come out and do, like, the Maury polls, they don't do it for free. Like, we'll just go and do, like, a random poll. People actually give them a contract, can you do a poll? Because we want to find out A is B or B C, you know? So whoever pays the piper plays the tune, you know?
With you and level with you, even though reform supporters don't want to hear this.
Right.
It's not what I believe is needed to save the UK.
Yes.
I actually went and watched the party political broadcast, by the way, and it is what Farage did seem to say. Watch.
Yeah, he did say... I don't know what he said, but he did say something.
We are a patriotic party. We don't care whether you're centre-left or centre-right. If you believe this country needs a big shake-up,
right,
use those local elections on May.
Patriotic party that doesn't mind about hundreds of thousands of girls across the country being industrially outraged, you know, generation upon generation for decade after decade. No, nothing happening here. No, vote for me, go on.
First, vote for reform. Let's take over some of the councils and we'll show you in government.
I've got a squeaky derriere and my backbone's a bit floppy disk. Yes, it is. Go on.
Although I
got a
was
second home to
very
eat,
relieved
taxpayer
to see
life, yes.
overnight that Farage at least hasn't backed away from electoral reform.
Right. But of course he's
this
not.
was an interview, by the way.
Of course he's not going to back away from that. They'd like that proportional representation, wouldn't they? Oh, yeah, they'd love a bit of that. They would, yeah. They'd be in there next week.
With this, have you seen this
No,
guy?
I'll who?
He's the real woke bloke at Woke ITV with the woke mullet.
Got woke-itis.
Are in a position where you might actually be able to get into
Oh, he's
number 10
definitely got a mullet.
sometime in the
He's
next
a woke
few
bloke.
years. Do you still want rid of first past
What's
the post?
happening here?
I don't think the electoral system really works.
Right.
I think there are three things really. One, first past the post needs looking at. Two, I do think the public should have the right to call referendums on big subjects.
Yes,
you know,
you do. You
might-
do really believe that? Can we have a referendum and then whether we have an inquiry into the grooming gangs, which is an industrial, cultural scandal amongst our society in the UK, across the whole of the UK? I mean, it's going on now in Northern Ireland. Can we have a referendum on that then, Nige? He's a guy, he's one of the boys.
an issue where Parliament's in a very different place in the country.
Right, come on.
So I do think an element of direct democracy needs to come in. And three, the House of Lords. Don't make me laugh. Stuff full of party apparatchiks and
Party apparatchiks, and I do intend to join them anytime soon, you know, darlings. I really do. I intend to.
donors.
I hook and by
That
crook.
needs a massive wholesale change. So yes, I'm for electoral reform.
Right.
Okay, so that's good. That is good for me.
Right.
Love the idea of direct democracy, actually. But after the disaster with the Tories, just want to be totally clear with you
Yes.
that I can't vote for another centrist party.
No.
That said, I do hear,
Yes.
I hear this clear message from Farages like Matt
Yes.
Goodwin, like Alex Phillips, like Gwaine Towler, like Aaron Banks, who say there is only one game in town.
Yes.
And there's just no chance of a new
I think it's
emerging
Kenny.
before 2029.
I think it's Kenny. To be honest, if I had to, I'm not. Do you know what I mean? No. And there's no hope of anybody like that getting in where I live. So I just vote for the independent person. Usually polls about 300, 400 votes. Because if you don't use your vote, then it goes to the winning side. So if they've issued you with a voting card for you to go and vote, but you don't turn up and don't use your vote, all the unused votes go to the winning side on countdown. You know, when they count it up at night. So say if they've won by 15,000 and something or other, and then they count the 200, 300 people that didn't turn up, they go on to that. And sometimes that can push them across the line to win. So yeah, always use your vote. But I personally, I mean, I'm not telling you, I don't care, you know, whether you do or don't. I can totally understand why some people wouldn't bother. But I personally just use it, A, because it's like about a minute from where I live, and B, so nobody else can have it, and I just vote for the independent. Because if you can get one person, independent person on your council, it's one less Tory or bleeding crank reform, isn't it? It is. Where I am, it's basically true blue, it always has been. And it doesn't matter what your politics are. Oh, I think we're getting a bit of a headway with some Greens. We've got a few Green councillors, you know, as you do in the Yummy Mummy set. Yes, lovely.
But that isn't going to stop Ben Habib, the former Reform deputy leader who was brutally dispatched by Nigel Farage after the last election, and has confirmed this week that he is taking control of the Integrity Party to launch a new Conservative political vehicle.
Brilliant.
Now, Howard Cox, great guy, he's actually here with Alex Phillips tomorrow. He has immediately joined.
Oh, I like Howard
But Rupert
Cox.
Lowe is keeping his options open, although he has ruled out a return to reform, which he intends to sue. Watch.
Go on. I'm listening now, I'm all ears, Dan.
I always said you can't win anything with bad people, and
Right.
I'm afraid to say that the people I sat with in Parliament, the way they behave towards me is not how you should behave
So
towards a
no
fellow party,
return to
let
reform.
alone a fellow MP.
No return to reform, you're saying, even
No,
if you're caught by the
I
police.
couldn't return to reform unless there was a complete change of leadership
wouldn't
and
bother.
a complete change of
I wouldn't
structure
bother.
and a proper plan to deliver for
I
the
think
British people.
I think it's a busted flush, and it's like the Emperor's been seen to not be wearing any clothes. And I think what he did to Ben Habib, people started to look and think, hang on a minute, has he actually got any clothes on? And then what happened to Rupert Lowe, everyone could see he was totally buck naked, darlings, in public, you know. So, I mean, reporting somebody to the police when you're a free speech party is It's no more than I'd expect, actually, because they're all pompous load of sanctimonious up their own backside bleeding POSs. And as I say, every last one of them thinks it's okay to imprison somebody for extraordinary measures, you know, that's against our human rights, and it's totally okay to do that. And to put Lucy Connolly in jail, yeah, they've made a couple of, do you know what I mean? But they were pushed to do that. That's okay too. So, because it didn't even... No, it wasn't. It was the Lee Anderson that said about how protests and everything, and you stamp on them and put them in prison. Then he realised what he'd said and tried to backtrack. But that's basically what he felt. Anybody that goes out and protests, there needs to be tough measures, that they're put away and dealt with by the authorities, blah-de-bleeding blah. Having said that at a Reform conference, how can you then pretend that you stand up for Lucy Connolly? Mm-hmm. Get me, Kamish.
And Rupert said today that Farage should actually be well over this 25% ceiling that he appears to have hit in national polling. And he pointed to three key issues. Let me go through them very quickly, but they are interesting.
Who's paying for the poll?
He said, 1, a total and brutal lack of any substance. Daily slick videos and social media graphics look professional, but it's all just vacuous nonsense.
Yes, it is.
None of it means anything.
No.
Fancy music and imaginative camera angles. So what? Who cares, honestly? Reform will fix it. How? Second issue.
I think those daily slick videos, I don't know whether you've seen them. I mean, they come up on my notifications and I'm not even subscribed to it. And the cheek of that prick, what's his name? Noel Wilcox bloke, emailing me and asking me if I'd like to donate to his cause or something or other. Having got a bit of history with that disgusting creature, how about no? How do you want it? Hot or cold, darling? No. So, yeah, no, they're just... I don't know what they're doing. It's almost like somebody said to Nigel, what would you like for your birthday, Nigel? And he said a political party. And he should have said a cowboy bleeding outfit, shouldn't he? Because that's what he's got. It's like a load of men playing politics rather than actually being politicians. First and foremost, they're there to represent the electorate, and I'm not sure who they're actually representing. As I say, they keep having these, I don't know, conferences or journalist photo calls and this, that and the other, where they hold forth on what they intend to do. Yeah, but you're then telling the electorate what you're going to do. But the electorate have already told you what they want you to do. You said you were going to do it. They voted for you. Now you're in power. You've backtracked on it all and you're shouting every day about you're going to do this and you're going to do that, none of which is the reason why you're standing on that lectern to start with, darling. Anyway, who am I to know? I don't know anything. So there you go.
Backtracking on important issues like mass deportation. He says it's not something that Nigel wants to talk about. He says he's terrified of being labelled a racist by the Westminster media.
God.
Rupert says, my view, who cares? Honestly, the British people want it.
Look, I've said it a million times. That Rwanda thing, right? Why don't they give it to some... Why is it that they've just got to send migrants there? Give me a couple of quid, I'll go there. Do you get me? Have you seen it? Why don't they give it to... Does it have to be that you're a migrant? Why is it we're on this gravy train? Yeah, oh, we've got too many people, so we need to ship some people out. Well, why don't you ask some British people if they'd like to go to Rwanda and live the beautiful, like, accommodation that they've got there? It's like, what do they call them? Like one of those clubs, you know, country clubs that they have in America. It's like that. And they all go around on little golf carts. And it's delightful. It's a spa and a swimming pool, this bloody blah, and they get so much money to go out there. Give it to me. I'll bloody well go. I'd happily go. Just so, you know, they don't think about anything. Oh, so you can't talk about it because if you do, that makes you racist. Why don't you, like, think outside the box and have a bit of blue sky thinking? I think, well, if we are overcrowded, why don't we facilitate some British people to go and bugger off abroad? Because I'd bugger off. And I'm sure you'd all like that, darlings, wouldn't you? But they never think like that. Never think like that. It's all locked down into this tiny little sort of matchbox of idealism that you've got to say. You've got to be on the right page. You've got to say the right things. You've got to have the right sound bites. And blah. And that's where we are. And that is what the reason why Britain can't have nice things, darling. It's as simple as that.
Give it to them. And then he says the third issue is Farage himself. Farage won votes in Great Yarmouth, but he cost a lot too, particularly with
was
his
he Great
comments on
Yarmouth? I
Putin.
thought he was
The
Skeggy.
party was polling well before Farage returned, and we ended up on 14%
Oh.
nationally after the campaign. After decades of uncontrolled mass immigration,
Is he in Great Yarmouth? I thought he was in Skegness. Or somewhat Southend on Sea. Skeggy. Oh, there you go. Shows how much I know. Now, I thought Great Yarmouth was Rupert Lowe. So obviously I need to go away really and bore my head because I haven't got a clue what's happening, darlings. And I'm here holding forth. Oh, well, that makes me and Nigel Farage on the same page for a change.
Information in our country from all angles.
That's
the
why
ground
Great
could not be
Yarmouth.
more fertile. 25% should be
Oh,
the
there
floor,
you go. I
not
didn't do
the
that.
ceiling. So look, I decided to run
Let's
two
do the Great
polls
Yarmouth.
over the past 48 hours because
Right.
I started on Substack.
Yes.
Actually, my
What's
Substack
that,
audience are
darling?
amazing. www.outspoken.live. Please do sign up.
Don't know
Have
what
a
that
real
is. What
direct
is it?
connection with me. So these are maybe the most hardcore Outspoken supporters.
Go
and
on,
I
boy.
asked, which party are you most likely to support? And you'll see there I gave the
Integrity.
options: Conservative, Reform, UKIP, and then I said
Ben
specifically
Habib.
Ben Habib's
Yes.
Integrity Party. Now,
Ben's the
when
man.
put that way,
Go
you'll
on,
see
Ben.
Conservative 7, UKIP 4,
Yeah.
Reform UK 38.
I think I would definitely vote for Ben, but we obviously it's not being filtered by. I live in the middle of nowhere. If I had a choice, I would vote Conservative, but not for the Conservatives. I'd vote basically just for Kemi because I quite like Kemi. I'm a Kemiite, you know, darlings. I quite like her on a good day. Sometimes she comes out and her brain's a bit wet and spongy. But we all have those days. We're women, aren't we? But when she's on form, yeah, she's all right. I like old Kemi. She's a girl. She's one of those that you think you can go out and have a good old time with. You can have a good old laugh with. Yes, yeah. And you can get so drunk, what you could do is just tip her into a shopping trolley and wheel her home and sing all the way. It'll be great. She's one of them girls, you know what I mean? So failing that, it'll be Ben Habib, definitely. But I don't get the pleasure of that because we don't have anybody like that around where I live. So there you go. I'm bored, you're bored, we're all bored. I really hope that they do really well because good luck to Ben Habib, good luck to Rupert Lowe. Bless them both. Bye-bye now.